Greetings in the mighty name of our Lord and Savior Jesus Christ. Today I just wanted to talk a little bit about feelings and emotions, and start off by asking, how often do you let yourself be led by your feelings? And who is in control of your life? Are you controlled by your feelings? Are you controlled by your emotions? Who is in charge of your life? Is it you, meaning your soul? Meaning, are you in control of your emotions, your will and your mind? Or are the feelings and the emotions that you experience drive you on a daily basis? It is an important question to ask, Barcelona, because many people, as the expression always says, wear their feelings on their sleeves. So you can see how they feel all the time, whether they're happy, whether they're sad, whether they're angry. Some people, you can just see it. And there's this notion that it is better to have someone like that because they are real, as opposed to someone who hides their feelings and emotions. Is this true? Is this right? Which one is right? Is it better to have someone who wears their feelings on their sleeves? Whenever they're happy, they show you. Whenever they are sad, they show you. And even their actions are dictated by their feelings. So when they don't feel like being courteous, when they don't feel like being nice to you, when they become rude just because that's who they are, is it better for them to be like that because they are the genuine article, as opposed to someone who is able to control their emotions and act in a proper way, either way? I think this is an important question to ask because I think it is a problem that is growing more and more in our society, because we find ourselves in an era where human rights are at the forefront, and therefore people feel they've got rights to act, feel, and actually display their feelings whenever they want to. Whenever you tell people not to act in a certain way, they say you are infringing on their rights. Whenever you tell people they shouldn't be doing this, they're saying you're infringing on their constitutional rights to freedom. And really at the forefront of all of this is the emotions and the feelings that people want to express continuously. And they want these to be uninhibited. They just want to do whatever it is whenever it suits them. This problem did not start with the Constitution. I believe it's got its roots when we are young as children. Children are prime examples of people who wear their feelings on their sleeves rather. When a child is angry, you will see it. When a child is sad, they will cry. They won't even take seconds. They won't even think about it. They'll show you how they feel. Children are the best ones at showing their tantrums. They throw tantrums. We often use the expression when an older person throws tantrums. We always say he's throwing his toys out the cot, because that's typical of what children are. Children just act any kind of way regardless of who's there. They haven't learned the art of hiding their feelings or their emotions, or I should rather say they haven't learned the art of controlling them. That is probably a more appropriate word that I should be using. You see, it would be wrong for me as a grown man. I'm sure I used to throw tantrums as a young person. My sister always likes to make the comment that I used to be a crybaby when I was young. But I don't think it would be right for me at my age, at 45 years of age. Every time there's an issue, I cry. Every time there's an issue, I throw my hands up in the air. I don't think my wife would be happy to live with me if I was a man who was controlled by my emotions. Every time something wrong happens at work, I come home crying to my wife. I don't think my wife would be happy to be married to a man like that. Therefore, it brings the question, Bazalwane, are you in control of your emotions? Are you in control of your feelings? These things for me are sort of intertwined, and I think there's an overlap between them. When you look at feelings, you've got physical feelings and emotional feelings. On the physical side, if I feel a tingling sensation in my body, it is a natural feeling that I'm talking about. If I've got a tummy ache, it's a natural feeling that one experiences. But there are other feelings of joy, excitement, sadness. All of those feelings are rather more spiritual, and those tend to be intertwined with when you talk in terms of whether you're talking about feelings or emotions, then that's when the picture starts to be a little bit blurry. That's not the focus of my discussion, really. But what I'm wanting to discuss is this whole issue of people being controlled by their emotions or their feelings. I don't believe that this is what the Lord called us to. I don't believe that, particularly as a child of God, you must just go around acting how you want, whenever you want. I believe the art of controlling your feelings and emotions is what separates the boys from the men. When you are grown up and as you grow in the things of the Lord, you should be able to act in a more predictable way. When people come to you, there's certain traits that they should expect to find with you. Regardless of what's going on in your life, they can come to you and find a smile. They can come to you and find a word of encouragement. They won't come to you and say, you are coming to tell me your problems. I've got even bigger problems. Please don't come to me. There's a certain level of expectation that when you are a maturing one or a mature one in the things of God, you become more constant. People know, that whenever you go to this person, there's always a sense of peace. There's always a sense of calmness, regardless of what's happening in their lives. There was a man in the Bible, and many indeed, who live their lives according to their feelings and their emotions. And I did say that this is a very prevalent subject in our society, not only in South Africa, but the rest of the world. If you read in the book of 2 Samuel chapter 13 and you read verse 1 to verse 22, 2 Samuel chapter 13 verse 1 to 22, we won't go there, Barcelona, because of time, but you read the story of Amnon and Tamar, who are half-brother and half-sister. Well, this is in the European sense. In the African sense, there is no such thing as a half-brother or half-sister. They were brother and sister. It's just that they shared different mothers, but they had the same father. They came from the same seed. Hallelujah, Basalwan. So they are brother and sister. Amnon, the Bible says, if you go and read there, he loved his sister so much that he even became sick and he wouldn't eat. And when he spoke to his friend, he would say, I love my sister so much, but I can't have her because she's my sister. Now, it tells me already that he knew that loving her was the wrong emotion or feeling to have. But he just said, you know what, I just love her. I've got to have her. I love her so much, And he starts asking his friend, what must I do to make sure that I can have her? And this friend makes out a plan for her to come in, and he pretends as if he's sick. And to just cut a long story short, he eventually rapes her sister. After her sister begged her not to do such an evil thing, Amnon rapes her sister because Amnon is controlled by his feelings. He's controlled by his emotions. The funny thing when you read in that passage there is that the Bible says as soon as he had raped her, he hated her even more than he loved her. Now again, these are feelings, these are emotions, and he threw her out. I mean, can you imagine such a disgusting thing? You rape your sister because you say you love her. These are emotions and are feelings. And immediately once you've done this thing that you've always wanted to do and you've been, dreaming about it for months, she disgusts you and you throw her out. What a horrible thing. Now, I want to say to you, whilst we are talking about this subject, there are some people who would then argue, but why does God give us these feelings if we can't act them out? If we have been given these feelings, then we must act them out. Well, think for a minute. What you are saying then, if you are saying we must live according to our feelings because God has given us these feelings, it means that Amnon should not be punished for what he has done. He couldn't control his feelings. It was God-given feelings and emotions. He doesn't choose. We often say we don't choose who we love. We just fall in love. Be careful of that statement. The fact that you are in love with someone does not mean that it is right. You can be so in love with someone like you've never felt before. But if that person is married, your feelings are misplaced and your feelings are wrong, And I want to guarantee you those feelings don't come from God. God will never give you feelings for you to feel love for someone who is married, unless you are saying God is a God of a double standard. So therefore, we are saying all of these people who are acting according to their emotions, who are acting in accordance to their rights, it is my right to act the way I want, then they should not be subject to punishment. We are saying what Amnon did is right, it's natural, it's in line with the natural order of things. That is wrong, Bazalwan. Where do you stop the argument? A person who's got emotions to rape, where does the argument stop? I've discussed this before. You cannot say emotions are the reasons why you act in a certain way. There's a certain level of maturity, there's a certain level of expectation in society that even when you feel like doing certain things, you don't do them. Why is this important? This is important because people who have success in life, in any area of life, you will know it is people who have been able to control their feelings and their emotions. People who are able to get up and go to work whether they feel like it or not. People who do an excellent project and do the best that they can do, even when they are given a task that they don't like. These are the people that thrive. It's the same thing in marriage. Sometimes you go into marriage and you are so tired and there's such a big misunderstanding with your wife. But guess what? You don't live according to your emotions and your feelings. You do the things that you need to do. There's days when I'm not happy with my wife and I'm angry with her. I don't stop being a husband because I'm not happy with her. The same with her. Whenever I've done something that makes her angry, she doesn't stop doing her wifely duties, because such is the nature of mature ones. Such is the nature of those who have grown in the things of the Lord. You cannot let your feelings dictate how you act. You cannot let your emotions dictate how you even react to other human beings that you interact with. That is what I wanted to talk about, Bazalwane. There's a verse that I wanted us to read, which comes from the passage that we have been reading from in the book of Habakkuk. Habakkuk chapter 3. I want us to read how we should be, Bazalwane, in terms of our state of emotions. The Bible talks in the book of Habakkuk chapter 3, verse 17. We were reading this yesterday. It says, though the fig tree may not blossom, nor fruit be on the vines, though the labor of the olive may fail, and the fields yield no food, though the flock may be cut off from the fold, and there be no herd in the stalls, yet I will rejoice in the Lord. I will joy in the God of my salvation. Oh, how I love this verse. This verse lists a few things. If you look in the first part, it says, though the fig tree may not blossom, nor the fruit be on the vines, though the labor, it's effectively talking about time. It's saying you are going out to your vines, you are going out to your fig tree. It means there's a certain time when you expect that there is blossom. You expect that there is fruits in the trees because it is a season for those things to happen. And yet those things are not there. So sometimes in life, there's times when we expect, Haibo, certain things should have happened. I should have already got this breakthrough. I should have already had this thing. At my age, I already should be married. At my age, I already should be having my own home. At my age, I should already be having all of those things. The season is the right season, but you are not seeing those things that you are expecting in that season. It goes further and it says, although the labor of the olive may fail and the fields yield no food. It talks about labor. Not only is it the right season, but you have worked. There's certain things you have done. You have labored to make sure that you plant your seed. You have done all the things that you could possibly do as a human being to make sure that there's a harvest. And yet, dololo, in the language of the township, there is nothing that you are able to see. It's the right time. You've done all the labor you can do, and yet there is nothing. And then it talks about even when there are no cattle, it means there are no investments. There is no money. There is no value that you have. It says even when all of these things are happening, it says in verse 18, yet I will rejoice in the Lord. I will joy in the God of my salvation. You see, Bazalwane, we serve the Lord and we rejoice in Him, not because of things that are happening around us. We don't walk according to our feelings. but we rejoice because He is God. You know, He is God whether things are going in order or whether things are outside of order in our lives. He is God when there's abundance, and He is God when you are suffering. He is God when you are sick, and He is God when you are healthy. Your health or your lack of health does not cease to make Him a God. He is God all by Himself. He does not need anything to make Him a God. He created everything, and nothing can remove Him from His throne. He is God, is sitting on high, and therefore you rejoice in the fact that He has given you salvation. You see what this verse is telling me, Basan? It's saying when you are worried about those things that are above, when you are worried about the fig tree and the vine and the labor and the animals and your wealth and all these things, you are a person that is majoring in the minors. You are majoring in the minors. You know, the major things are not the things that are natural. The major things are not the things that are happening around you. The major things is that you have got guaranteed salvation for the rest of your existence. Isn't it the same thing that Jesus said in the book of Luke, chapter 10, verse 20, where the disciples were excited and they came back and they said, "Oh Lord, even the demons are subject to our names." And He said to them, that is not the thing you should rejoice about, but rather rejoice that your names are written in heaven. So therefore, Bazalwane, our source of joy, our source of excitement, the thing that makes us emotional all the time, and the thing that Jesus says you are allowed to rejoice over, this thing is the fact that our names are written in heaven. This is the major that we should be majoring on, not the minors that are happening around us, Bazalwane. You know, we should be like God. The Bible says God, He swears to His own head. This expression effectively means when He's made a commitment, when He has sworn that He will do something, even when it hurts Him to do it, even when He doesn't feel like doing it, He still carries on doing it because He is like that. Just like our Master Jesus. You know, many times He prayed that this cup would be removed from Him. But then He said, not according to my will, but according to your will. He carried on going to the cross, even though He might not have felt like it, even though His body was saying, don't do this thing, and He was in pains and aches, but He did it nonetheless because He saw that it was the right thing to do. He saw the right end of His actions. And that's what should motivate us. The right end of our actions, the right end of showing our emotions is what should lead us. We should never ever be people who are led by emotions or feelings, but we should override them by the love of God. We should override them by the Spirit that dwells within us, the Spirit of peace, the Spirit of love, the Spirit of joy, and the Spirit of patience. This is what I want us to do, Bazalwane. Let us go out this week and be like that, Bazalwane. Let us go out there and be good fathers. Let us go out there and be good husbands. Let us go out there and be good friends, be good mothers, be good sons, be good colleagues, be good anything, whatever it is that you may be. Not because things are perfect, not because things are in order, but because you accept and you realize that your name is written in the Lamb's book of life, that you have been saved and you will live for eternity, that whatever you're experiencing now is only temporary. You've got eternity to enjoy all the good things you ever wanted to enjoy. I pray that you have a blessed week and that the Lord keeps you and that you are safe and that you are prosper in all the things that you wish for yourself in this week. In the name of Jesus Christ, we pray. Amen.